Hello everyone! Welcome back to Friday's stream on using AI to code review your apps. In this week, we have been code reviewing your community submitted apps. So thank you so much for joining me again on another code review day. My name is Shruti Kapoor and I have been live streaming since Tuesday to code review apps every day. And some of your apps have been really great. I have had a lot of learning. Some of the apps have some common themes. I'm going to summarize all of the code review learnings into a video. So if you want that, make sure you're followed, make sure you're subscribed so you get notified. Hello everybody in the chat. Samava first, yay! To the Moo, Sandeep Kumar. Hi Sandeep. Hi Shruti, this is Sandeep. Hi Sandeep. Canon. Ravindran, welcome. Odin, hello, good to see you. Rohit, hi, welcome. As always, if you want to submit your app for code review, make sure that you click the link in the description. Let me just make sure there's a link in the description. I'm pretty sure there is. Yes, make sure to use the link in the description. Also, we have a Discord, which is also linked in the description. So come and join there. If I am not able to review your app, you can still submit it to Discord and people can still code review your app. Who's getting baked today? Hi Aziz. Hi Rohit Sutar. Welcome, you guys. Thank you for joining me on a Friday morning here in Seattle and whatever day and night it may be for you. I am so excited for today's stream because today's stream is sponsored by Baz, who is an AI code review editor tool. So there's a link in my description. Go ahead and click that link and this will tell Baz that you joined Baz through me. And this tells Baz to continue to support me. I appreciate your support. We're going to use Baz today to code review apps. I'm actually very excited about this because this is actually a code review editor or like code review tool that is integrated in your IDE. So you don't have to like go to GitHub and like see what your like how to improve your code. You can actually see it within your IDE. They have an MCP server, so it's going to be a very fun stream because we're going to integrate with our IDE. Visual Studio Code is what I'm using, but they also have Cursor and Windsurf, and we are going to code review one of the community apps. So let's take a look at which app we want to review. Before I do that, I'm going to make sure I'm selecting the right screen. How is everybody's morning or evening going? Tell me where you are joining me from. India, Dehradun, India, Kolkata, India. Oh, thank you for staying up late and hanging out with me. "10:38 p.m. now, Mumbai, India." Mumbai is one of my favorite cities. Oh, hey, Ashwani. Prayagraj, Hyderabad, Maharashtra. Wow, all over India. Anybody from Delhi or Chandigarh? That's what my hometown is. Okay, so you might be seeing my Google Sheets now. This is what Most folks have submitted. Oh, I see Prajwal Dubey is here. So Prajwal, let's take your app. There may be some bugs. Currently, I'm office, can't resolve right now. I recently saw your tweet for some project review, so I fill up the form to make sure my project got reviewed. If you'll select the project based on the first come, first serve way, thank you. Oh, yay, Prajwal. Let's select your app. Okay, so this is the one we're going to do. I'm going to mark this as yellow. So many colors. Krishna from Maharashtra, Vikas from Karnal, Haryana. Oh, that's very close to Chandigarh. Aziz from Delhi, Zahir Rahman. Hello, Zahir. Okay, let's go ahead and click this up. Alrighty, so the way we code review apps is first we take a look at the UI, we give feedback. I keep saying we, like I take a look at AI. Having worked in companies, the fact that you have to represent the team, I am still representing the team when I am just a one-person team. So I am going to review your app, and the first thing that I do is I review the UI and provide you feedback on what the user experience is like, accessibility, take a look at some Lighthouse scores, and then notice if there's any errors coming, if there's any weird behavior. So kind of like a UI overview. And then I take a look at your code. I pick one or two components. I don't have the time to review the entire code base, but I take a look at, I try to pick the most most important components, and I will provide you feedback on one or two components. But today, instead of me providing feedback, we're going to use an AI tool called Baz to provide feedback. So I'm going to show you how to set up this tool, and I want you to set this up with me. So I'm going to share the link of this repo in chat. We're going to review this together. Now we're going to review this together. Testing. Oh, my battery's dead. Shit. That's okay. All right, we're back. Can you all hear me well? Super well, I think. What is it, Pepper? Oh, what? Loud and clear. Sweet. Okay, awesome. We're at go. All right, let me see if I have the link. That's what I was going to check. Yes, the link is in here. And Baz is in here. Cool. Awesome. Thank you, folks. Loud and clear. Yes. By the way, if you ever like live stream or if you ever record videos, always have multiple mics with you because sometimes one of them fails and then your entire setup is gone. I've had this happen to me so many times. I'm now using a Yeti Nano, which actually I used to use before. Might have seen it in my old videos. But then I switched on to this DJI, which is a great mic, but it's Bluetooth, so the battery dies at unfortunate times like this. Audio feels good. Awesome. Thank you. Headset can be the backup. Yeah. The problem with the headset is the voice is not as good in a headset mic, but it is a backup. Yeah. So if I didn't have this mic, I would have used my AirPods. Alrighty, so what are we gonna do? We are gonna take a look at code review of this app, which is Prajwal's app, who is also in the chat. Prajwal, if you're still here, say hello. Ki hal chal Didu? What's Didu? What's in today's stream? Today we're gonna review another app. This is by one of our community members, Prajwal Dubey, who is also in the chat, or at least was for until a few minutes ago. We are going to review this Meetups app. So let's see if there is a link. There is the link. Cool. Okay, so what we're going to do in this is we're going to review the UI. We're going to review the accessibility. We're going to review some UX, and we're going to see if there's any weird errors that come up, and then I'm going to take a look at the code. I also want you to take a look at the code. So I don't know if I shared this link already, but here it is. This is the link of class teacher के सामने बैठ के paper check कर रही है. No. This is going to be very like cordial, respectful, like I told you before in one of the streams. If you weren't here, I will tell you again. What is the point of a code review? The point of a code review is not to bash the person who wrote the code, the author. The point of a code review is to learn something from the author and to teach them something, share some knowledge. When you approach a code review, always approach it from the perspective that the person who wrote the code review knows more than you do about the code that he wrote or they wrote. So that's been my principle behind reviewing code, especially in these streams, but also at work as well. My goal is to share something with you that you may not have thought of and learn something from you. That's how code review should be. Constructive feedback only. Yes. So if I do say like, hey, this is not good, you can feel free to like jump in and say, I did this because of this, right? That's what code review should be like. It's a conversation. It's not a one-way like bashing street. Cool. With that positive attitude, let's get into it. So, this is the code. This is the app that we're going to review today. This is called linkup-tail.vercel.app. So this is a place where people meet for adventures. It's called LinkUp. One thing I also like to do is open the console to see if there's already any errors in here. You always want to make sure that when your app is running, and especially if this is not expected, like the errors is not expected, that your console is clear. Something that you would have noticed in like all production apps is not dev tool. Like for example, this is daily dev. This is actually a Chrome tab, and you see their console is always clear. So that's the first thing you want to make sure when somebody loads your app console is clear. But let's get into it. So did you give me some login credentials, Prajwal? Let me see. If you didn't, please send me some login credentials. You can put them in the chat if you want to, but you can also send them personally. I would actually encourage you to put the login credential in the chat. I want you all, in whoever is watching the stream, to take a look at this app and code review this together. You can log in as guest. Okay, cool. Guest login. Cool. Nice. Love that. What's this? What? Oh, that's because. Okay. It keeps looking for location. I would actually stop the spinner and I would check if permissions are given. Let me actually zoom this in. If permissions are given, then I would show the location. Otherwise, I would stop the spinner. I've seen most of the big tech products have some or the other errors, but didn't happen to break any functionality wise. So sometimes it's just like files that they don't need that hasn't been loaded, or files that are missing. They may not be essential files, so that's why. Yeah, the location is not working because I denied permissions. So what you want to do is, if the permissions are not given, then you want to either don't want to give this, or you want to say a message like select a location, because you don't want a loading spinner infinitely going on. Okay, but let's take a look at some of these. So I've got this recent. People have actually written content on it. Nothing in my mind, just posting for fun. Sundar Nadella. Meeting with startup founders in Bangalore. Oh my god, look at their faces. Okay, so these are all meetups that somebody has posted, and they could have pictures. One thing that I noticed is that when you load this page, oh my god, what happened? I just hit refresh and it died on me. Okay, so oh, that was weird. It's a pretty decent app. Good work, bro. Yeah, it is a pretty decent app, actually. I like the UI a lot. It's very clean, feels very modern. I like it. Hanji kidda fair ki halchal. I am great. Ansh, how are you? I think there is cross location icon you can use to show there is no permission for location. Yeah, I've denied permissions. That's why. Didi, मैं भेजूं क्या अपना? I made something during Valentine's Day for a girlfriend, also for my homies, so that they can send to their respective girlfriends. Yeah, please do, Ujwal. Send it. Alright, so you see, when you load a new tab, it takes a while for the content to be loaded, right? And I'm guessing it's probably because you are loading every time. Like when somebody clicks, that's when you load. What you want to do is you want to preload or prefetch in the background. And you can use handstack query for that. You can use router for that. So what you want to do is, before they even, like, this is called preemptive loading. So before they even load, you can actually load this content in the background. And so this interaction will feel much faster. So you can do that with handstack router. Password Pakan123. Oh. What is the username? Ujjwal Bhai Puki. Frostbite Digital. Hello, everyone. Hello, Frostbite. Welcome. Okay, so let's keep going. Now, if I go back to tech, something is wrong with this Firestore. Okay, I think these are actually just categories of different meetups, which is nice that you can see it in the front page itself. Like you got sports, hiking, explore new adventures, find people who loves badminton. It's going to be find people who love, just a small grammatical mistake, movies, hangout, tech. I really like how this actually like moves from one text to another. I also like the font. Very cool. Click on explore now. Okay, it takes you back to the same thing. All right, cool. What else do we have? All right, let's try the login system, post, followers, following. Nothing in the timeline. These things are not clickable. I would actually like to see them. Maybe following, followers, post. This should be clickable. Okay, overall, I think like, can we add actually a new, oh yeah, there it is. Let's add a new meetup. Oh, guest cannot post. This is the link, Ujjwal. Ujjwal, actually send the link in, no, send the link through Google Forms. It's in the, it's right here in the description of today's stream. So click that link, the Google Forms link. So Prajwal is sending password. Prajwal, is that the, let me log out first. Log out, log in. What is the, well, what is the email for this? Oh my god, hold on. Password pecan 123. What is the email? Is it test 123 at gmail.com? Can I use that? Also, folks, anytime you submit your app for code review, make sure you send me test credentials. Okay, Prajwal, you may want to send me an email as well. But let's keep going. Let's actually check this out in using a code review tool. So now I have this code review tool within the description. That's what we're going to check out today. So this is actually really cool because it integrates with your GitHub and it can show you a review of every single repository in your organization or in your personal organization. So the way they ask you to do this is you click on the start for your 14-day trial and then you integrate and log in with your GitHub, and you can then give access to some repositories. So for example, yesterday I was reviewing X0GPT, and if I click on apply, it then shows you insights on the code and any PRs that you have made. So what I did was actually I set it up in my Visual Studio Code, so I have access to it within the repo itself, like within my IDE itself. And that's what we're going to do today. I'm also going to show you how you can do that yourself because I really liked having the MCP within IDE itself. And honestly, more and more work is going to get done in within IDEs using MCP. So I think it's really cool that they have an MCP. So let's see, AI code review, Baz MCP. Wow, there's so many. There. Baz is not open source, but they give you a 14-day free trial. All right, so this is the MCP setup. All right, so what you gotta do is, it's actually pretty simple. So what you do is you copy the server URL, and I'm gonna show you my screen actually. It might be easier. Where do we want to go this? Okay, done. There, cool. But now I can't see you guys. Hold on. Oh my god, not OBS. No, 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 no. Let's say window capture, Visual Studio Code. Okay. This is so annoying. All right, let's try this again. Ma'am, what's your opinion about AI and how we can secure ourselves from it? I think AI is gonna become the thing that we all are gonna be integrating with, using, building. So the faster you can get yourself set up and the faster you can get onboarded is gonna be better for you because this is gonna become part of your life, whether you like it or not. People who are gonna get onboarded faster, people who are gonna adopt right now are gonna be the ones who are gonna have their jobs. People who are gonna resist it are gonna have harder time finding a job. How we can secure ourselves from it? So I think if you are a backend developer or if you're a front end developer, think about the ways that you can incorporate AI in your not just the way you use AI, but also the way you build with AI. So, for example, you can integrate with an LLM, you can build a simple MCP, you can build a simple agent, you can build a chatbot, just a starting point. So think of ways in which you can be an AI engineer and learn there's so many complications in AI development, like developing apps for AI. So think about how you can start incorporating AI and how you can learn to overcome the challenges of AI. Alrighty, let's share the screen. As a senior engineer, how do you see new devs learning things and moving in fast track? So actually, this is a really good question because I have a full video coming with Jack Harrington on the same topic. How do you learn as an engineer? How do you grow as an engineer? And how do you not just like learn the basics of it, but also really understand and become an expert in a new skill? So stay tuned for that. That's going to be released next week. But the gist of that conversation was to build things, go beyond tutorials. And why is because when you build something, like for example, even if you're building a to-do app, you build something, you follow the tutorial, you did React like setup, and you have like a working to-do app. Now that you built that app, you know how to, now you have to deploy that app. So that wasn't covered in the React tutorial that you covered. Now you have to figure out how to deploy it. So now you have to figure out how does hosting work, what kind of pricing models are there. Do you need free hosting, or do you need to deploy it on something that is like say like GoDaddy or like Netlify or Vercel? Like where do you deploy it, what kind of system you're in? So you learn about deployment, and then when you are when you want to get it integrated with other people, or when you want to like have other contributions, you have to think about how to maintain that code. Then you have to think about, well, should if I it was JavaScript, it was just plain like React, now do I convert it to TypeScript? Or if it was always TypeScript, how do I maintain my types? Then you have to think about how do I add testing, so that if people are going to be integrating, I want to make sure that they don't break something. So even a small to-do app can teach you so many things. So what I'm trying to tell you is keep building stuff and get into the depth of it. So for example, if you're building like a to-do app, think about how to add authentication. When you add authentication, think about what it is and what is that you're adding, and how does it work. So instead of just following the tutorial, think about the depths of that. And if you have a question in mind, just go ahead, dig into it, like really get into the depths of things. Hold on, I have one more dog who wants to get inside. Come on. My doggos are here. Hi. MCPs are great. I have Postman, Upright, and Convex integrated right now. Perfect. Yeah. They MCPs are actually a really great way to like not even just leave your IDE. I really like it. What's the name of doggo? So there's one on that side that is Loki, this guy, and they're both here now. This is Loki, and on the side is Pepper. Doggo cam. Loki likes to smell everything. Good boys. All right. So, what else did somebody say? I actually only have one dog, and I'm dog sitting Loki. Loki Thor could have been better. Yeah, he's not mine. Pepper is my dog, and Loki's my friend's dog. Pepper's the one I saw last time. Yeah. And dog sitting Loki. All right, let's get into it. Now, this app is actually really fun. So right now I have a demo app set up, and this is actually a Tanstack app that I'm working on. I will code review Prajwal's app as well, but I have this set up, so I want to really quickly show this. Now I have in this app, I am actually developing a new. This is actually the example app that you see if you open. If you start any Tanstack start project, this is the example app that you see. So let me see if I've got this running. And oh, it probably is running. Okay, cool. It's running. And then what I want to do is I have, if you start off with a Tanstack start project, you'll notice that you get a start API file, and then you get a start fetch, you get a start server functions file. So what I did was I added a new file here called fetch API. Okay. And imagine that at this point, I don't know what kind of I'm just new to Tanstack Start. I don't know what kind of code review practices there are. So what I did was I actually have too much content in here. So let me remove some of this. Let's just keep this one. So I got fetch popular movies. I've got an await fetch call. And then I'm going to get rid of get popular movies as well. I just want to keep one fetch call. Component movies page. What is your problem? Fetch popular movies, which is right here. That actually calls a fetch call. This is a TMDB site, which actually has a bunch of different movies. Is this big enough? I hope this is big enough. Yeah. And movies page. That's it. Okay, I only added one file. So now what I want to do is I actually want my MCP server. I'm going to open the chat. Oh my God. Chat. And then I'm going to say code review this app with best practices. Oh, you probably can't even see it. Oh my God. Let me move this webcam out of the way. I'm going to move my webcam here. Okay. All right. So I'm going to say code review this app with best practices of Tanstack start projects. And because I know Tanstack start is not that common, I'm just going to say Tanstack projects. So let's see. Now I'll show you that I actually do already have an MCP server here installed. Do I? Baz. Oh, I don't. Okay, I don't have MCP installed, so let's go ahead and add this. So in order to add an MCP server, what you gotta do is open add server and then click on HTTP. And if you look at the URL that I sent you in my Chrome, which is where? Alrighty. This URL, you'll notice in here there's a server URL at the top, which is baz.code/mcp. I'm just going to go ahead and add that. Okay, enter to confirm. Runs in all workspaces. Cool. Already added this, so go ahead and remove this. Now I have an MCP here called Baz MCP. And That's all I need to do to set this up. So now if I added a question, oh, there's a problem here. Error getting token from server, cancelled. Missing authorization header. What? Did I say HTTP or HTTPS? Oh, type HTTPS. Well, let's try this. Let's try this again. And if I restart this, get rid of this. Cool. Okay, no issues here. Restart. Cool. Let's try this again. Oh, I was signed out. All right, let me authorize. Authorization successful. Cool. Now, if I click my agents list, I do have a Baz MCP server here. Sweet. Okay, so this actually gives you a code review. Here it says organization review guidelines. So this actually gives you code review within your ID, which is actually perfect. So let's go ahead and try this. Now I'm going to say, code review, not this file, but where's my file? There's my file. Now I'm saying code review this file with the guidelines from Tanstack start and Tanstack query. Okay. All right, so let's see what it says. Starting from the top, it says, here's a code review of this for Tanstack start and Tanstack query best practices. Loader usage, you correctly use the route loader for data fetching, which is recommended for Tanstack router. Where is that? Which is right here. So loader pattern is what Tanstack start and Tanstack Tanstack route applications recommend. So it's saying that is good. So it knows the guidelines of that specific repo, which is great. So it works really well, especially if you have like an organization based guidelines. So you can look up what your organization's best practices are. You handle errors in the loader, display them in the UI. Cool. And this is type Tanstack start guidelines. So it's nice that it can differentiate actually. Type safety, interfaces for API responses are defined. Good. Component structure. The route component is clean. Awesome. Missing query integration. Okay, so it says you're not using Tanstack query. For client-side data fetching, Tanstack query is recommended for caching, background updates, and better loading states. And then it says use loaders for SSR data, but for interactive or client-side updates, prefer Tanstack query. Okay, I really like this improvement actually, this suggestion. So not only is it telling me like you should be using loader, you should be using Tanstack query, it's also telling me that when you need to use loader, like it's telling me when to use a loader and when to use Tanstack query. So it says use loaders for SSR initial data, but for interactive or client-side updates, prefer Tanstack query. That's very neat. Okay, suggestions for improvements, use environment variables for API keys. Do not hardcode API keys. Did I hardcode API keys? Tell me I didn't hardcode API keys. Oh, I don't have API keys here. But yeah, it's telling me do not hardcode API keys. Good. Integrate Tanstack query for client-side data. Okay, so it did give me a suggestion. Looking at my code, understanding that it is Tanstack start and Tanstack query, it did give me a suggestion to add tan stack query for client-side updates. I do like this. This is a really good suggestion. So import use query from tan stack React query. Data error is loading. Use query. Use this. But you see, it's telling me that if you want that for client-side data. So we're going to keep this in mind and we're going to ask it a follow-up question. But for now, let's keep reading. You show loading movies if movies.length is 0, but this could be improved with a proper loading state from tan stack query. Oh, interesting. Let's see where this is. Okay, so I have like a very basic loader here. It's saying you show loading movies if this is, but this could be improved with the proper loading state from tan stack query. That's actually a really good suggestion, because if I was code reviewing this app, I would look at this and I would see that they're using tan stack query, and I would call this out as well, that you can actually just use tan stack query. So it's pretty smart in knowing this. Consider using an error boundary. Your images have all text, which is good. Consider adding more ARIA attributes for better accessibility. Oh, interesting. That's better than just basic alt text. So which other ARIA attributes? Let's ask it in a bit. Add comments for complex logic or API usage. Example, tan stack query integration. If you want to use tan stack query, your component should look like this. So it's giving me suggestions as well. So fetch popular movies, and if load is loading, return loading movies. If error, oh, nice. I like the suggestion a lot. Very easy to like. It's not just like giving you like suggestions, but also giving you the code itself. So that's really good. Okay, summary loader usage is correct. Prefer client-side prefer tan stack query. Use environment variables for secrets. Improve loading error states and accessibility. So let's ask it a question, which is, it says integrate tan stack query for client-side data, right? If you want client-side updates. So let's ask it a question. Which client-side updates should be used with tan stack query here? So imagine that I don't know which, like when to use tan stack query. I could ask it like which client-side update should be used for tan stack query. And an example of this is like, let's say you filter, let's say you star movies, let's say you're reviewing movies. So those are some client-side updates that you can add tan stack query for. So it says if you want to refetch or update the movie list without a full page reload. That is actually a really great option. If you want to cache movie data and avoid unnecessary network updates, if you want to show real-time loading and error states, you want background updates or polling. In your current code, if the movie list is static and only fetched once on page load, the loader is sufficient. But if you plan to add any of the above features, you should use tan stack query for client-side fetching and updates. Okay, I really like these suggestions. This is very smart suggestions. I feel like this is kind of having like a staff engineer or like senior engineer review your code while you're writing the code. So already before you make a pull request, if you use something like this, your code would be much better. Would you like to refactor the file? No, hold on. I'm going to ask it another follow-up questions, which is about accessibility. So it says you should use more ARIA attributes. So I'm going to ask it which ARIA attributes and for what. Okay, so it says use landmark roles for dev role main. Movie cards, use ARIA label for movie cards. Movie title, and then existing prop. Okay, this is actually a good ARIA label. So as somebody who has worked on accessibility, I know that this is much better than just the movie title. Why? Because this gives context to the user that this is going to be a movie, and then tells them the movie itself. This is not overly verbose, as in it doesn't say this is a movie card of movie. It's just to the point, and it gives enough context to the user to help them understand that this is a movie title. I really like this. You already use alt text, which is good. The image is decorative. If the image is decorative, use alt this. Ensure headings use semantic tags. Use role equals alert for error messages. That is a smart one. Use role equals alert for error messages. Interactive elements. If you add buttons, refresh, ensure they have clear labels. Okay. Overall, I think this has given really great suggestions. It's not just surface level suggestions, but they are actually thoughtful. Like for example, for error state, like for loading state, it says you're just having a simple loader. You can use query. If you have client-side data, use query. So this is actually a pretty smart one. Is this free GitHub Copilot or paid one? This is actually called Baz. This is the link is gonna be in the description. This chat is actually an MCP from Baz. So what I've done is I've added a new MCP, add server, and this is browse MCP servers. Browse MCP server. Oh, not in the. I can show you here. There, I have a Baz MCP server here, and it's super simple to set it up. Literally like a copy paste in JSON file. Does Baz get the updated configs from updated documentation? Actually, that's a good question. I don't know if it does. I haven't actually tried that out. I don't know if it does. So now let's try the app that we were reviewing earlier. So why I'm showing you the Stack Start app is because this is an app, this is a new file that I wrote. So I know that this is a very basic setup. I know that I haven't added like a Tanstack query, and I wanted to check if the tool was able to catch that, and if the tool was able to tell me why I would need Tanstack query. So overall, I think I really like the recommendations that it's given me so far. For accessibility as well, the suggestions have been top notch. If it scrapes, then I think it would do it. Yeah, I don't know actually. Inspira Swear, hi Inspira Swear, where are you from? I'm from Seattle. Where are you from? Alrighty, I'm gonna also check out the app that Prajwal had shared, which by the way, if you guys have not checked it out, let's go ahead and check this out. This is the GitHub. And in order to set up the MCP server, I'm gonna share another link as well. So this is the next link, which is for Baz. You log in with your Baz and then you set up an MCP server, which I will share as well. I've actually never set up an MCP server before until this time, and I'm surprised how easy it was. There is the MCP server, depending on which client you're using. Also, quick shout out to Baz for sponsoring the stream. If you click the link that I shared, they will know that you came from my stream, and that tells them to keep supporting me. So thank you for supporting me, and thank you for telling Baz that you love being on the stream. All right, let's check out the app that we were reviewing earlier, Prajwal's app. I'm gonna quit this. And what's in here? Ma'am, in which company you're working currently? I work for myself. I quit my 9 to 5. Alrighty, so let me share the code chat. Last company before that. I used to work at Slack before that. Okay. Cool. Now, how many of you were able to set up this GitHub repo? Say yes. And how many of you were able to set up the MCP server as well? Say yes. No, actually, if you've been able to set up the GitHub repo, say GitHub repo. And if you've been able to set up the MCP server as well, say MCP server. I will wait. Hi, I'm a new subscriber. Hi, Hari Kishan. Thank you for joining us. Also, if you are new here, first time, hit that subscribe button. Come and join the squad. We are also on the Discord. So come and join our Discord as well. Thank you so much for being here. Your support means a lot to me, and I am so happy that you came and joined us. What is this channel about? That is a great question. This is a code review live stream, and I am reviewing your apps that you have submitted through the GitHub form that is also linked in the description. Join our Discord server. Yes. Thank you, Aziz, for sharing this. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Okay, how many of you were able to set up the GitHub repo? Say GitHub. I am caught up in some other work. No problem. I want to know about you, where you works. I work at YouTube channel. I work for myself. I am a full-time content creator. I used to be a staff engineer. I have worked at companies like PayPal and Slack. I have been in the industry as a front-end developer for 11 years. And I did my undergrad at UBC in Canada. That's about me. My bio. Okay, let's get started. If you want to follow along with me, check out that GitHub repo, set up a MCP server. You can also check out your own GitHub repo, and I want to know if you have set up an MCP server. The instructions are super simple, literally just like one line of code. open chat in sidebar. And then if I look at the tools, do I have this MCP server set up already? Cool. All right. So now what I'm going to do is we were looking at this app earlier, right? So I'm going to take a look at this code myself, and then I'm going to review this with Baz. So I'm going to see what are the things that Baz uncovers that I missed, and how good are the suggestions that Baz gives. So let's pick a component in here. Which was the one that was taking a long time to load? I think that was get events. So here I notice that it is using some form of query. Where is this coming from? Firebase. Okay. Firebase has, this is the one that was throwing error, Firestore. But let's take a look at this component from the top. Oh, thank you, Aziz. Amazing week of live stream. Yay! Completed first week of code review. Okay, so is Prajwal in the chat still? If you are, say hello, Prajwal. This app is actually by one of our community members. His name is Prajwal Dubey. He created this meetup app. We were reviewing this. If you're new here, check out, maybe scrub back to a little bit earlier if you want to check out the UI. I took a look at the UI. Overall looks pretty great. There were some issues here and there, but oh, Prajwal is here. Hello, Prajwal. We took a look at the UI. Pretty great UI, looks pretty neat. But now I'm going to take a look at the component that I think was the one that was taking a long time to load, which I think is display events. If it is not, Prajwal, feel free to correct me. You're the owner of this. So now I'm going to move my camera. Oh my God. No. Hold on. I'm going to move my camera again like that. Actually, let me make this smaller. That's better. Cool. Okay. So let's take a look at this code. I'm looking at display events. So a bunch of Firebase stuff. What else is importing? React icons, DB Firebase, default user, formatter time, React router. Okay, so it's React router, use context from React. Because you already have use effect, you could actually just use state here, use context here. Oh my God, my keyboard doesn't want me to type today. So this cleans this up a bit. Join event info, user info, context. Okay, so you've got context. I'm guessing that is React context. Yeah. Toast from this, React hot toast, display hot shimmer. I see that you're not using TypeScript. So first I would suggest that if you want to make this if you want to start sharing this project with other people where they can contribute, TypeScript would be a good place to introduce, would be a good thing to introduce. Okay, let's take a look at use effects. Oh my God, that is a lot happening in use effect. There is a lot of join stuff, set events, but let's see what's going on. Okay, queue query collection where user email, event host, query snapshots. User details is this, query snapshot for each user details, join query. Okay, I think this is why your app is slow. So you've got use effect here. What is a dependency? An event. Event is what? Event is, okay, so see, this is where TypeScript would be helpful. So if you had TypeScript, you would see the type right here, and then very easily you would know everything that goes inside event, right? So it would have like an object, so it would tell me like exactly what event stands for, like what are the properties. Now the problem here is that event could be a boolean, it could be an object, it could be a big object, I don't know that, but because of that this is going to be unstable, right? So for example, if you have something like event details, join for user location, anytime any of this changes, like event should change. But because I've been talking about this, events objects are unstable references, And so this is going to be recalculated on every render. This is why your app is slow. So you want to do like event details, event ID, whatever that might be. Let's see, what are you using here? So I see that you're setting event details to be this event, where event ID is event ID. That's what you're using. So I would put event.event ID in here instead of the entire event object. And that is actually a common error that I see in most files. This is why a component re-renders so many times, because the dependencies of use effects are unstable. So when then you have an error, you actually want to throw set error, error. And instead of just console logging, actually it should be console error. Instead of just console erroring, you should also put it on the UI as well. And then what I would do is actually move this function out of this file, like query snapshot. First of all, I would move this like fetch function or like this db function out of here, and I would move it into a new file. Now, something else I would say is, can you render this on the server? TanStack Start will let you do that. I have a whole video coming out on how to do that with TanStack Start. But if you can render this on the server, you don't have to send this data. First, you don't have to connect with your database on the client side, which is more insecure. But you can actually render this on the server, then just send the data over to the client side. So less work for client to handle. And I would also move this out into a new like function, new file. So keep use effect as small as possible. Okay, so React Server Components. Why you want to do React Server Components, right? React Server Components is different from rendering on the server or like calling a server function. React Server Components actually send a completely built function, completely built React component to the client side. In most cases, you may not need a React Server component. For your case, you just want to send that data over and you want to still maintain interactivity on the client side. So for you, you can just render on the server and just send it. You can just fetch on the server and just send data down to the client side. So all of this stuff like user details, events, this query function you can render on the server. And doing this with TanStack Start is actually super simple. You literally just define this inside you literally do this, Command X. It's so simple with TanStack Start. So const call query, or I don't know, like fetch user query. Let's just say that return query. I think this is what I pasted. And then all you got to do here is like we could say create server function. That's it. Now it calls on the server if you have TanStack Start here. This is if you have TanStack Start. I think you may not have like any of the frameworks set up here, like Next as well. You can do this with Next as well. If you don't have Next, TanStack Start is very lightweight. That's why I recommend TanStack Start, but this is something you could do. Okay. Overall, actually, there is a lot happening in this use effect. With use effect, you want to keep the work that you're doing in use effect as small as possible. You can also have multiple use effects. So what I would do is only fetch like queries in this and then do something else like get docs, different function. Get docs, join query snapshot. There's a lot happening in this. And because of this, use effect can become really heavy and you don't want to do a lot of computation just before on every render. Okay, handle search on Google Map, window.open. Okay, so you don't want to do window.open because you already have a router. You want to use your router instead of calling window.open. If search query.trim, encoded query, encoded URI component, search query, encoded query, cool. Handle event participation. Before I read this, I actually want to take a look at the code. So is loading, where is loading coming from? Okay, so you're manually setting is loading. Again, if you were using if you were managing data, or like if you were managing fetch through TanStack query, this would be something that would be automatically handled by TanStack query. This was the same suggestion that Baz actually gave me, which is let a file, let a library like TanStack query handle loading states for you. For your app, actually TanStack query is a great choice because you have a lot of client-side interactivity. You want to cache that. You want to also like preload in the background with TanStack router. So I would actually recommend taking a look at the TanStack suite. Event details, username, split, join, view, image, source, alt, details, username. Extra string, username. Okay, you're using heading 4. Don't have any other headings in here, which should be okay. If should be okay. Like if you don't have any other heading levels, you may want to add like heading 3s and heading 2s as well. Get timestamp, event details created at. Okay. Is event live, event details at event start, event details at event end time, and okay, so you're calling the functions within the render files as well. Let me see, when are functions destroyed and when are functions called in the render? Render functions React. See, okay, this is what I was thinking of. I'm going to share this with you. It says a function in the render method will be created each render, which is a slight performance hit. It's also messy if you put them in the render, which is a much bigger reason you shouldn't have to scroll through code. So basically what that means is, I'm going to share this in the chat. What that means is you shouldn't call functions like this in here. Why? Because they're created on every render. Okay, so what you want to do is take this out, put this in here, and then add this to a variable. Const is event live equals this, and then you want to use this variable inside here is event live. And even if you forget about like rendering, you'll notice that you call this function here and then you're recalling the same function again. One, you're calling the same function again and again, so you're not reusing the value. But also, now because your function is being called again and again, you can actually put use memo around it. And you need dependencies as well, event start time, event end time. So now this is much more the fuck, dude? Hold on. This kind of bullshit language is not allowed here. Okay, what was I saying? Yes. So what you want to do is now your function is actually much more efficient and much more performant. Just a very small function, but even with that function, even with just adding use memo and taking this is event live, the function call itself, out of the render function, you're preventing that function to be run on every time the component is rendered. Okay. Same thing for like the other function that you had here, which is time different end of time. You want to put this out of the component, and then you want to, if this is a heavy function, you want to cache that function using use memo. Okay, ended, null, event details.images, images.length. So, okay, here, because you are checking for images and length, what you want to do is you just want to do images dot length greater than 0, and then you don't need to do this. So you can use this operator. And I would actually make this event details into its own component itself. All of this stuff. So extract this out. Event details are images at map, IDX, button and click, set current image index, class name, this. Cool. So yeah, all of this actually can be its own component. Event details or event title. But I think event details can be blank. Oh, okay. Images.length greater than 0. If it's greater than 1, then do this. So I guess if it's 0, you do this. If it's greater than 1, you do this. Same thing here. Okay. Cool. Okay, overall, I think I would break this component down into several other components, clean this up a little, move these functions. The handle functions are fine, but these kind of functions outside of here, add TanStack query because you have a lot of reactivity here, and then use loader states from TanStack query. Move this database query out of here, put it on the server. And I think that should take care of a lot of stuff in here. Also, I would actually add types in here if you are going to be using this with other people. But if it's just you, you're fine. I do like having types in here because some of the things that you're checking, like if this is empty, and in the bottom as well, you are checking if the length is greater than 1. All of those things can be automatically handled by TypeScript. So now let's get this reviewed. Review this by following best practices of React. So let's see what Baz tells us. Ow. What is this something in end of description? Oh, that is actually the number of subscribers I had when I launched the video. That just helps me keep track of how fast I'm growing. Okay. All right, it's done. All right, let's see. Uses React hooks correctly, separates UI logic into event handlers, uses context for global state, handles async operations and loading states, uses semantic HTML and accessible buttons. Cool. Areas for improvements. You have disabled ESLint for prop types. For maintainability, use prop types or TypeScript for type safety. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's something that I was telling you, right? You could use TypeScript for type safety. We also used to use prop types before. So if you don't want to add TypeScript yet, then you can use just prop types. Use memo is used incorrectly. Of course, it is used incorrectly. That's fine. That's just something that I added, so don't worry about it. It says it uses the function as the first argument, not result. You should wrap the calculation in a function. Okay, async functions and use effect. You're calling an async function directly in use effect. This is fine, but consider handling errors more gracefully. That is set an error state. So that's actually in here. You've got try in here, and then you've got catch in here. This because this is console commented out. It's the same thing that I was telling you. Like handle this more gracefully. And also you would actually want to have a error component in your file as well. When rendering list, always use a unique and stable key. Ooh, it actually captured this. I did not capture this. So you might be using map somewhere. And you have a key here. Where else are you using a map? Where does it say this? You can use index for images which is acceptable if the list order is. Oh, but using a unique identifier is better. Oh my god, this is such a great suggestion. Okay, so this is a common issue that I see that happens in our files. Okay, so when rendering list, always use a unique and stable key. Okay, stable is important here. You can use index for images which is acceptable if the list order never changes, but using a unique identifier is better. So what happens is, I've seen this happen with me as well. So you're not alone in this. You use index, right? Because it's unique for every map, for every item in the array. But in and these items indexes can change, these indices can change, especially if you add a new item, or this like index is not stable because that can be different. So what you should do is, instead of index, the key being index, it should be something like the id, event details dot images index. You should do something like event details dot images at that, like whatever that id must be. So I don't know if it's like event details dot images at index dot id or event id. I think you have an event id. That's what makes it unique. So have stable index, stable keys. Index is actually not a stable key because index can change. Code duplication. The logic for event status, ongoing, scheduled, ended is duplicated. Consider extracting this into a helper function or component. What is this? Logic for event status, ongoing. Oh, yeah. So I was telling you, right? You have a lot of functions in here. You have a lot of components in here. So it called that out. It says logic for event status is duplicated. Extracting this into a helper function. Conditional rendering. Some conditions are complex and should be simplified for readability. Correct. Ensure all interactive elements are accessible and add IR label when needed. Okay. So this actually could be improved or like expanded a bit. So we're going to take a look at this in a bit. Unused commented code, that's fine. Error handling, you log errors to the console, that's fine. Performance, add unnecessary state update, setting state in a loop. Okay, let's talk about first the performance. Can you add more on this? And then I'm going to say, how can I improve the performance? This is something that I've been really enjoying doing with AI because it's kind of like having like a staff engineer at your call. So I'm going to say, how can I improve performance? So let's see. Avoid state updates and loops in your get event details functions. Yeah, that function has a bit of problem. You use a loop to build arrays and then set state after the loop, which is good. However, ensure you never call set state inside a loop or multiple times in quick succession, as this can cause unnecessary renders. This is actually a really good suggestion. Key should not be the index in a loop. Index is not stable. Exactly. Oh no, I always use index as key. Yeah, this is a common error actually. I'm gonna note this down because when I make the video, I'm gonna put some of the common mistakes that happen. And you're not alone in this. Like, this happens all the time. I used to do that too. Okay. Memorize expensive calculations. This is something that I had called out. If you need to update multiple pieces of state based on the same data, bash them together in one set state, call or use a single state object. So in React 19, this will automatically be taken care of. But in React 18 or earlier, you have to make sure that you are batching the state. And let's see what kind of React are you using. Package.json, React 18. Okay, yeah. React 18 actually start batching. So you're fine. Memorize expensive calculations, use memo. I was talking about this. Prevent unnecessary renders. Use React memo for child components that receive props, but no need to re-render unless those props change. Make sure your context values are stable. Use memo when providing context values. Dependency array, double check your use effect dependencies, right? Only include variables that actually affect the effect. Exactly. This is what I was talking about, that your use effect should be granular, like here. So you had event earlier. Make sure that this is a stable object. So you want to do event dot event ID. Avoid inline functions in JSX. This is where I was telling you that you have functions in here. So you want to take them out. Lazy load images. For event images, you consider using loading lazy. This is a good one. I forgot to mention this. Virtualize long list. If you ever display a long list, use a library like React Window or React Virtualize. This is a great suggestion as well. Right now, you have a lot of items. Maybe not yet enough for a virtualized list, but if you have tons of events, you may want to think about using React Virtualized. I've used React Virtualized before. Basically what it does is it only renders visible items. So even if you have a long list, you're not actually rendering all of them together. You're rendering them in a batch. Debounce expensive functions. Oh, that's a good call out. If you search or filter topic, debounce the input to avoid running expressions. I don't think you have a search thing, so you should be fine. But if you do and think about adding a search functionality, you should use debounce. Cool. Overall, what do you guys think about the suggestions that this gave? We do have a search here. Actually, let's review search after. But what do you think about the suggestions that Baz gave? Useful? Yeah, Prajwal, I hope this session was useful for you. I hope this didn't feel like a code bash. If you know an array is stable that never changes, index should be fine. Index is generally not recommended for key. I'll show you. Key index. Yeah. Okay, so it says we don't recommend using indexes for key if the order of items may change. This can negatively impact performance and may cause issues with component state. If you choose not to assign an explicit key to list items, then React will default to using indexes as key. And when you don't have stable IDs for rendered items, you may use index as a key as a last resort. This is actually a great article. Yeah, so for something like, event details where you're subscribing from a database, it could change. It's not a good idea. But yeah, when you know that it's like a constant thing, it's not going to change, then you're fine to use keys. It was very close to what you mentioned, and it also gave additional info which can be missed easily by human review. Yeah, I was actually surprised by some of the things that it picked up, like the logic for event status, ongoing, schedule, ended is duplicated. Even like when you're reviewing a really long file at work, some of these, like when you see this, you're like, oh, okay, what the hell, like component. So it's nice that it was able to it's nice that it was able to really look at the code and understand, well, this is the component that needs to be extracted, and even in this extracted component, this is some reused logic, so you should extract it out. So it's nice to have AI review your code. It's like having it's like having an engineer at your beck and call. You can ask them questions, you can ask them to review your code. So when you actually create a PR, your PR is much better than what you would have if you were just reviewing it by a human. I was responding to Aziz. Oh, okay. Cool. Okay, so let's now review this search component, search.jsx. Again, we're gonna go through this real quick and then we're gonna get it reviewed by Baz. Okay, we've got a timer ref, class name, link to, link relative. And you know what? I really like having this MCP within my chat. So typically a code review tool will actually be integrated within your GitHub. And so this was something that I've noticed with some other tools as well, that when I create a GitHub pull request, it shows me the details, like it shows me reviews, but I have to create a pull request for that. And sometimes I just, like, for example, when I'm reviewing your app, I just want to look at your code. I don't want to create a pull request. So this is a much better way of looking at the code and getting it reviewed right away instead of having to create a pull request. So I really like having this MCP within my Visual Studio itself. I'm actually happy a single use state with an object isn't used in this code base. Yes, that's a good call out, Honor. Great job, Prajwal. Okay, FA search. Rendering in a batch is configured in terms of parameters numbers, which can be defined by us, or is it automate handling by React virtualize? Oh, rendering in a batch. I think you mean like set state rendering in a batch, right? I'm gonna share an article. I want to share a video with you. React. Hold on. This is actually a talk that I gave at ReactConf. React 18 for app developers. Automatic batching. Okay, I will share this batching with you. Start at 1:13. Copy. React state batching. Image lists you talked about. Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about. The virtualized things. Yes, you define that. So with React virtualized, basically you're telling how many like list items to render, and it understands that it needs to render according to viewport. You can say render up to the viewport, and then like 4 items at the top, or like 10 items at the top, 20 items at the top, and then 20 items at the bottom. And then basically what it does is it'll render this much, and then it'll keep like, it's like a scrolling window, so it'll keep like adding more and more items to that item, that to like that viewport. And as the viewport moves down, it'll just basically like keep adding more and more items to the viewport. So it's like a scrolling window. Okay, let's review this. Type text, placeholder search for people and events, value search text, on change async. Oh, async. Oh, that's a really complicated function. Okay, set search text, e.target.value. I've never seen an async on change. Timer.ref.current equals null, let result handle search query. Okay, where is this? I actually want to take a look at the app. Where's search? I don't know if you have search implemented somewhere, Prajwal, but I would like to take a look at search. Set timeout. That's a lot happening here. There's the same photo frame in the background. Yeah. I actually, you can search for search. I actually inverted this video, this painting by mistake. But then when I realized it, I just kept it up. I was like, I will see how many people can notice it. So it's like a Easter egg. Not everybody has noticed it. You can search for search. Let's search for search. Oh, it's an event page and feeds page. Okay. But I actually want to see it in the UI. Events page is here. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen, am I? Guest login. Events page, technology. Oh, there it is. Tech. Oh yeah, it works. Interstellar. Okay, it works. Cool. All right. So timer ref. What does timer ref do here? I don't understand. Set search text. e.target.value. So actually, your search should only have this. But what is happening after this? Set search text is all that should happen in onChange. But then you do something else, which is e.target.value.trim.length. Okay, this is the actual search, I'm guessing, right? Okay. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take this out, set search text, and then I'm going to call search for text. And then I'm going to just with e.target. And you can set as loading to true if you want. That's enough. And then what I would do is actually const search text, search text, and then text. I would put everything else in here. So clean this up. So this is actually search text, but what was the name that we set here? Search text. Search text handler. I would do that. Maybe I was implementing debouncing. Where's rainbow lights? I love that vibe. Rainbow lights? Oh. Actually, I have it right here. Yes, Loki. Oh, goodness. Is it behind me? Where is it? There. In my eyes. I thought someone's doing puja in background. It was Loki's spell. Yeah. Hi, Loki. Hi, Pepper. I didn't know Loki's back from the TV. Yeah, we've got Loki here. Oh, that's Loki. Do you see Loki? Maybe. Maybe now. Say hi, Loki. Hi. Loki's like, what do you want? And there's Pepper. They're just chilling. They have joined me on every single day of this live stream series this week. They're both like the sweetest dogs ever. Okay, let's get back. All right, so Petrol says, I see this is a very bad implementation. Okay, so we won't even get into it. We're going to let AI do this. But let's keep going. Blah, blah, blah. Link up, input. Okay, link to P class name. Justify. Search tracks.trim.length greater than 0. Search tags.trim. Okay, so what I would do is, I don't know why you do trim, but this trim I would do in here, e.target.value. Loki is shying. I usually use React hook form with custom reusable components like input, select, text, etc. because it's a much better approach than using raw HTML forms. Like if you are using forms in production, totally you can use a different library. But for something like, it's not, okay, so I'll reframe. If you have a simple form, it's not bad to use just React native forms or like HTML native forms. If you have a pretty complicated form with a bunch of different fields, you're doing a lot of validation, you could use a React hook form, Formic. You could use a different library. But whatever you have from, if you have like a simple form, like for example, just a search form, it's totally fine to use native form as well. Okay. Is loading, search results, length greater than 0, max h calculate. Okay, where is loading coming from? I think is loading comes when you search, right? Yeah. Search results dot length greater than 0. Search results dot length. I would probably do a check. Search results dot map. You do handle search query, make sure you're also capturing the error as well. Okay. Default user, search results dot length greater than 0, index key to. Okay, again, index should not be used. Search.username. Search comes from, okay, the map. Okay. The search could be actually search.id if it does have an ID. Key equals syntax to event search event ID. Block, class name, search, SVG, no users found. Okay. Again, you have a lot of components in this, so I would break them down into their own files as well, separate them out. Link to login, and then login button. So I would create this login as a own component. And it seems you have a login in search, so you should not have a login within search itself. You can create a header component, put search in there, and then put login in there as well. Object.keys user info.length greater than 0. Oh, object.length keys equals 0, then this. Login, yeah. User info not username. Otherwise, you have this at user info not lowercase, user info. Okay. It's okay to use a normal form in some cases, but in your situation, I think React form is a better choice. Why do you think it's a better choice in this case, Fab My Mystery? Careful, if Loki is playing with the random stones, they could be infinity stones last week. Someone's infinity stones and someone's paperweights. Okay, let's get this reviewed by. Actually, I'm gonna undo my changes and I'm gonna see what it gives for the original file. Oh, also, whenever you use timer ref, are you doing a cleanup in the use effect function? We'll take a look at that. Timer ref. What do you do with timer ref? Timer ref.current. Timer ref is use ref null. Timer ref.current null. Oh, you're not even using use effect here. Okay. Okay, let's get Baz to review this. Review this file based on React guidelines as a staff engineer. I lost some last week. Anyhow, fooling around. Time to go. Thank you for stopping by, Hunar. Say hello to your wife for me. Okay, you have disable prop types, add prop types, okay. Use memo is used incorrectly. Wait, is it showing the same file? Oh no, I just scrolled too far past. Okay. Hooks usage, use state, use ref, and use context are used correctly. I like that it gives you strengths as well. You know, unlike code reviewers who only find out mistakes, I like that this actually gives you strengths as well. UI and logic are separated. Async search logic is handling the inputs on change. Accessibility uses semantic HTML. Loading state shows a spinner where loading search results. Context uses context for user data. Cool. Debouncing search, the current debounce logic is custom and a bit convoluted. Consider using a utility like lodash.debounce. Okay. Yeah, so you mentioned that you were just implementing debounce, so it makes sense. It's saying use lodash.debounce. I honestly don't think you need to use lodash.debounce. I think if your debounce function is working fine, you're fine. You don't have to use lodash.debounce. Async logic in onChange, the logic inside the inputs onChange is complex. Yeah, that's just what I was telling you about. Move it to a separate function or use a custom hook for readability and testability. You use index as a key in list. We already talked about this. Prop types on TypeScript. We talked about this. Loading state is set to true by default, which means the spinner shows before any search. Ooh, this is a good one. It found this out. Consider initializing it as false and only setting it to true when search is triggered. This is a good one. I did not catch this. Accessibility, add ARIA label to the search input and buttons for better accessibility. Oh, good one. See, it's very thorough. I love this. Like, as a code reviewer, like if I was spending 5 minutes on this is kind of like if I spent like 30 minutes or like an hour reviewing the same file, just the one file. So very thorough. I like this. Avoid creating inline functions in JSX that is on change. Use callback. Yeah, we talked about this. Error handling. There is no error handling for failed search scenarios. We talked about that. So it's good that it's able to catch that. Code organization. The component is large. Yeah. Default user handling. The default user image is used, but if user photo is missing, consider showing an avatar. Ooh, that's a great suggestion. I did not capture that. So it says if the default user image is used, you're using just user photo. Like if user photo is missing, consider showing an avatar with initials for a better UX. That's a really good suggestion. So basically that means like instead of showing just a basic avatar, like a default avatar, show their initials like SK or like KK or whatever. So that's great suggestions. Overall, I really like the suggestions that it gave. Some of them I did not even like capture, like loading state and this default user handling. So it's great that it captured those. I would also say that because you're using context, and if you're seeing that it is time that context is becoming difficult for you to manage, you can also think about adding Zurstan as your state management library. For you have a lot of interactivity, so think about using Tanstack query. And then think about moving some of your functions on the server. You can do Tanstack start, you can use Next.js. I think your app is doing fine right now. You just need to think about its maintainability, some performance implications, some render issues, and at that point your app is going to be in a good state. And then the next step is to optimize performance. Think about how code renders, where it renders. At that point you can think about loading on the server using Tanstack start, moving some server functions. So that's what I would say about this app. Prajwal, I hope this was useful for you. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any questions, if you need help with anything, if you need any resources. What did you guys think about this series? Since Tuesday, we have been reviewing apps every single day. On Tuesday, Wednesday, I reviewed these apps manually. Yesterday, we used Claude. And then today, I have used Baz. So progressively improving our sort of process by including AI. So now when people talk about like how do I include AI or like how do I work with AI, this is how. You already have your software development cycle set up. Think about how you can use AI to make you a better programmer. So instead of just vibe coding everything, you can actually get suggestions from AI. There's other tools that help you like use a Figma screenshot and create code out of it. So you can use that. When you put that code in your page or in your component, don't just copy paste it. Look at every single line of code that it pasted. Think about whether it's needed, whether it's an overkill, whether it's actually smart. And if there is something you don't understand, ask AI. This is why we use tools like this to make us better programmers. So ask AI, what is this supposed to do? How do I improve performance? With a code review tool like this, you can actually make your pull request or your code improvements, your code changes a lot better before anybody else takes a look at them. Thank you for feedback. I have a question regarding WS, like WebSockets are not scalable. You worked at Slack. Do you guys create a new mechanism for real-time communication? That is a huge question. Let me find a blog post for you because we actually published this. Messaging and Slack. Yeah, this is on. This is a great blog post. This series gave me a totally new perspective to code review, and I learned also new terms like IO label and more about accessibility. Overall, amazing week. Yay! Thank you. What are your thoughts on Claude AI? Have you used it? I have loved Claude AI Fab My Mystery. I've used it. I've loved it. Great experience with it. Okay, what other questions do you guys have? All right, I also have a question for you. Time for a poll. So if you are watching this on YouTube, you can vote in the poll. If you are not watching this on YouTube, you can come and join on YouTube, or you can put it in the chats. I will create a poll here. What do we have lined up for next week? Exactly, that's what I was going to ask. So what do you want to see next week? What do you want to see next week? That is going to be the question. And I have a few options for you. Continue code reviewing. Uno reverse. And okay, here is your question. What do you want to see next week in live streams? Continue code reviewing, build a Netflix clone in React. This is part of the React crash course that I'm doing. I'm going to be building and releasing on September 15th. That's my goal. So, or you want to see an interview series, which is I pick an interview question and talk about how I would do this, or something else, and put it in the comments what you would like to see. So tell me what you want to see. Interview series anytime, binged watched 2 last time. Code Netflix clone will be front end focused or full stack. So Netflix clone is actually a React crash course. It is gonna be front end focused, but it's gonna have authentication. It's gonna have monitoring. It's gonna be everything you need to know about Netflix clone. I already have the backend API of it. I'm using TMDB for getting data. So yeah, front end focused. Are you using NVIDIA Broadcast? If not, you can use it with your mic. It'll help eliminate the keyboard sound. You know what? People have really been enjoying the keyboard sound. So I don't know if you want me to remove the keyboard sound. Nice stream, Shruti. Just keep doing the way you're doing. Thank you, Fab My Mystery. Reviewing open source code. Oh, okay. Continue reviewing open source code. If you're going to implement HLS for video streaming, then Netflix clone. Oh. That's a good one. I'm going to put that down. I like clicky sound. Okay, so what do people select? Most people have selected interview series. A lot of people have selected build a Netflix clone. 25% people have selected something else. So tell me in the comments what you want to see. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and click on the poll. If you're watching this on Twitter or any other platform, put it in the chat. Tell me what you want to see. Build a Netflix clone in React is winning. Yay! My vote is also on build a Netflix clone in React because I have to launch this on September 15th. And oh my god, I have so much to do. So I prefer building a Netflix clone in React too. Hey Rakesh, I'm doing great. How are you doing? Love the series, refreshing perspectives. Thank you, Rohit. Okay, if you're new here, I want to tell you, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button because I'm trying to get to 100K by the end of this year and I cannot go there without your support. So hit that subscribe button. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for stopping by today. I am doing great too. What do you like most about Netflix clone? Any interesting stuff? So Netflix clone, the stuff that I put in the vote, is actually part of a React crash course that I'm doing. In this React crash course, this is going to be released in September. But in this React crash course, you're going to get everything you need to know about React, starting from how to like render a simple component, how to render multiple components, what kind of keys to use. We talked about like index not being a stable thing, so I'll talk about why is that the case. We'll talk about rendering multiple items. We'll talk about infinite scrolling. We'll talk about using different libraries like TanStack query. We'll talk about using a router. We'll talk about a state management solution. We'll talk about adding authentication. We'll talk about performance optimizations. We'll talk about observability and monitoring and deployments finally. And then testing. Oh my God, this is a lot of work. Holy crap. I'm feeling stressed just thinking about it. I have like 15 days to finish this. I thought something else instead of Netflix clone because there are many tutorials for it. Oh, okay. I think Netflix clone is going to be a really interesting one because there's a lot of optimizations you can do with video assets and image assets. So I think this would be a really great one. If possible, Rohit says, ma'am, if it would be possible, make videos on how to think constructively from the ground up to get grasp of writing code in JS would help a lot of getting the fundamentals strong. So basically, like how to understand, a new language like JavaScript. Taksamir, are you in backend too or only front end? I'm actually a full stack developer. My main focus is front end. My expertise is in front end, but I've done both. Why not Slack clone where we can scale the WebSockets? I don't want to do Slack clone just yet because I just left Slack. So I don't want to create any issues there. Yeah, people should understand it's not going to be the typical Netflix clone like any on any other YouTube. Yeah, it's actually not like just building Netflix clone, but it's also how to go from basically understanding React on how to go from basic rendering a simple component all the way to productionizing it and optimizing performance. So I am thinking it's going to be like 3 to 4 hours course, and this is going to be completely free of cost. For JS, you can check 31 days JS series. You can learn about fundamentals. Yes, I actually created this how to tinker around in edge cases so that overall systems thinking can improve. Oh, okay, that's a great idea. I'm gonna screenshot this so I can keep a track of this. Okay, why not Rumble clone? What time is it? 12:09, and I see that build a Netflix clone in React and interview series is the most popular. Okay, so for interview series, folks, we will actually have more people coming in to do mock interviews. If you want to join a mock interview on the live stream, which we have done previously on this channel, you can come and join our Discord. The Discord link is going to be in the description as well, bit.ly/the Discord. You can come and join our Discord and we will select somebody who can be on the live stream and do a code React mock interview or a full stack developer mock interview. For interview series itself, like which questions will be asked, I have done a whole 31 days of series of React interview questions that is also part of this YouTube channel. So go and find it in the playlists. Actually, let me find it for you. I know. Actually, Aziz can share that because he's our wonderful mod who's been sharing links. So I appreciate you, Aziz. Thank you so much for sharing the links. The Discord server Aziz just shared, that's our Discord server. Then 31 days of interview JavaScript questions. I've already done a whole series. I've also made a full video on what interview questions are and like how to approach them. So that is also on my channel. Check that out as well. And finally, I have a book, free React guide, also in my description, bit.ly/free React guide. Has 5 different React questions that are commonly asked, but also how to approach on LinkedIn, how to approach recruiters on LinkedIn, how to send a message, how to polish your resume, when to know you're ready for interviews. And finally, I will have a solution guide for all of the questions coming up as well. It'll have 31 questions with solutions, 31 most commonly asked questions, not just some random questions. These are questions that were actually asked to me, questions that I've seen being asked, questions that I have asked in interviews, and then it'll also have solutions. So if you want that, you can sign up to the newsletter, and I will send this to everybody who is in the newsletter. Like, I'll send a notification when it's ready. Interview guide. Oh, and finally, I know that a lot of people have been asking this, which is how to get in touch with me. So in order to get in touch with me, you can actually reach out to me on TopMate, or you can reach out to us on Discord community. Both of these links are also in the description, but I will share this in the chat as well. You can either schedule a time, one-on-one time with me on TopMate, or you can schedule, or you can come join our Discord community and we can share, I can answer your questions there. That is all I have for you today, folks. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you, Prajwal, for volunteering your app. Thank you for being such a good sport. Your app is great. I know that code review can feel very intimidating, but already your app is in a really great state. You just need to go a little bit more to take it to production level, and you'll be set. But folks, I will be back next week with React clone, because that's what you guys voted. So thank you so much. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed and you are new here. And if you have been following me for the beginning, since the beginning, or for a long time, thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot. I will see you next week. Have a beautiful weekend. Bye.